All right, 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, welcome everyone. This is Pokemon Gold any percent no arbitrary code execution, which is commonly referred to as ACE. So I'll talk a little bit about what the category is in a little bit. So just at the start here, we're going to use the default time options because they don't really matter. And I'm just going to name myself a one character nickname because my character comes up a lot in text. So it just being one character minimizes the amount of text. I choose I because it's right near to end, and so it creates really nice self-narrative text when it shows up. So, okay, this category, any percent no ace. So that means beating the game as fast as possible without using ace. So what is ace? Ace is basically any holy grail glitch where you can activate, or you can insert and then run your own code within the game. And so in speedrunning, it pretty much always ends up being warp right to the end. So you're just in the credits and that's it. And it's a very common glitch in a bunch of 8-bit and 16-bit games. Like you can do it in games like Super Mario World as well. And so for this game, with Ace, you can beat it in about 11 minutes. As soon as you can catch a Pokemon, you can set up a code in your box names, run the code through the boxes, and then warp to the end to beat the game. So I'm going to be beating the game as fast as possible without doing that. And so to do that, I have to play normally for a little bit. And so to do that, I'm going to pick Totodile as my starter. And I'm going to give it a nickname as well. And so you notice there, or you might have noticed, that I actually gave it a 2-character nickname, which is not fast because obviously it's more than one character. The reason I've done that is it's necessary for this run. The second character I gave it was a space, and the value that's equivalent to space is 255. 255 is also the value that equates to a card key. This is going to be very important later. So, Totodile. The reason I've chosen Totodile is, like I said, I have to play normally for a little bit, all the way up to Faulkner. And Totodile is the best Pokemon to do this. There are going to be no special interactions. I'm not going to use any special attacks, and none are going to be used against me. So the most important stats are attack and defense, of which Totodile has the highest. And Totodile also learns Rage at level 7, which is really good. For the early game, Rage is just a very powerful move. At the start of the game, I'm just hoping to get as little encounters as possible. The fact that I got 0 there is actually exceptionally good luck. So the run's going very well so far. There we go. Can you hear me now? Hey! Okay, so welcome. This is Pokemon Gold. Okay, so for this run, the most critical thing is actually this egg, the mystery egg that I'm getting from Mr. Pokemon here. So ordinarily, it's just completely useless and you discard the egg because who needs a level 5 Togepi? But in this run, it's actually of the utmost importance that I get it. But what's actually important is hatching it. So to do that, I have to get it from Mr. Pokemon, give it to Professor Elm, and then he gives it back to me after I beat Faulkner, which is why beating Faulkner is so important. And so to hatch the egg, what's important is knowing how hatching the egg works. And so the way it works is you have to take a certain amount of steps, but it's not a raw amount. The way it works is there are egg cycles. And so every 256 steps, an egg cycle basically happens, and so it decreases the amount of egg cycles needed to happen until the egg hatches. So what I'm going to do in this run is actually count exactly how many steps I take, and then save one tile before an egg cycle happens. Because of this, I actually have to take a certain amount of extra steps. It's about 90 buffer that I have. And so that actually changes the strats for the early game. Things that would ordinarily be very slow are actually fast because the steps that I take don't matter. So for example, I would normally get a backup potion a hidden potion just before Mr. Pokemon's house, but I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to the mart and buy potions because it doesn't matter that I'm going into the mart and taking all those steps. Another one is that I'm not going to take the berry off Totodile. I'm just going to hopefully keep it through this fight and then just walk and get a backup one if I lose it. So this is the first fight of the run. And so the berry activates if I go below half health and then a turn ends. So to have it not activate, I actually need really good luck. I need, ideally, Chikorita to miss a tackle or miss Growl. It's not going to happen now. This is really slow. Or I get several criticals. Double Growl is very rare and very, very bad. So keeping the berry on at this stage is actually pretty good because without it, I might have actually died. But this way, I won't die, promise. It is going to be very slow though. There it goes. But like I said, it's not a big deal. I'll just get a backup one. And so I'll check Totodile's stats here. I've obviously just taken a random one. And stats do matter a fair bit for the fights. Okay. Bad attack, bad speed, but good defense. And defense in this run is actually probably the most important. Because I have good defense, I should have no chance of dying. And I've definitely cursed myself by saying that. But I should be fine. So now just making my way back to Elms. And so, yeah, like I said, there are a bunch of strats that I do because I can take extra steps. And one of them is after Elms Lab, I'm actually going to go back to my house and talk to my mum, which normally is way, way slower. And you just call her from your phone. But because I can take extra steps, it's going to be faster to go over and see her. So this category is the only one you'll ever see something like that happen. And this category, by the way, nobody has done runs of. I'm the only person who has. I did one run, I think. So you've very likely never seen this before. Okay, so get the Pokeballs. I'm not going to catch anything, but having the Pokeballs is important for what's going to happen a lot later on. So here we go. Talk to her, tell her not to save my money. Unfortunately, there's not too much to talk about at this stage. It's just hope I don't get encounters. But there's going to be a lot to say in a very short amount of time after Faulkner. So I really should explain some of the metrics that I'm going for in this run to be able to beat the game. So like I said, I want to hatch the egg. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to save right before the egg cycle finishes, and then I'm going to start cloning the egg. The way cloning works is you're resetting the game while it saves, so it saves part of what's happened, but not all of it. So it saves you've deposited the egg into the box, but not the egg has been removed from your party, and so it ends up in both. But it saves the egg in the box after you've decreased the egg cycle, but doesn't save that you've moved the egg cycle. It doesn't update that you've done the extra tiles. And so I can abuse that to reduce the egg cycle over and over and over again. The reason hatching the egg is important is because I want to hatch a bad clone. And a bad clone is a bit more technical than a regular clone. There are actually several... You are kidding me. Okay, I forgot to go into the Cherry Grove Mart to buy potions. This is insanely funny to me because I did 3 practice runs yesterday and I did the exact same thing and I promised I wouldn't do it on stage and I've done it. So I can go into the Violet Mart and it's fine as long as I don't die. And I promised I wouldn't die in this run, so I'll be fine. Nothing will go wrong. If I do die, by the way, I have no idea how to save this, and we're in for a good time. Yeah, so now we start the fights. These fights may be a bit bad because I do have bad attack and speed, but it won't be too bad. So like this Rattata's gonna outspeed me, for example. So also talking bad clone. So bad clone it's very difficult to get. It's a frame, sometimes sub-frame trick. But the bad clone has messed up properties, basically. But if I hatch a bad clone, it gets different properties that are going to be very advantageous to me. Okay, so coming up here is the only spinner in the run. So a spinner is a trainer that spins around at random. And so when I'm passing this spinner here, hopefully they just don't spin and turn upwards, because otherwise I'll have to fight them. They didn't. Good. I never thought I'd get an applause for good luck. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to flash the center here. So if I do die, I come back to Violet's center. Just in case. I'm still screwed if it happens, so. Go into here and buy my potions. And off to the gym. So this is probably the scariest fight in the run. This Spearow does a decent amount of damage. With bad defense, it does 8 per hit. With good defense, it only does 6. So it's gonna hit me 4 times. So that ends up being a considerable difference, and why good defense is so important. And you're also gonna see, I'm just gonna spam Rage throughout this entire gym because it's really, really good at this point in the game. It looks like it's doing nothing, but you can see when I get the attack boost, it ends up doing significantly more. And this is why I wanted the other berry, because otherwise it would have killed me. Okay, I have to recount the amount of steps that I had because I took a different mart. And when I did this in a practice run, I miscounted. So I'm making real sure I get it right this time. But I think it'll be fine. So yeah, I'm going to create a bad clone. So bad clone, when I make a bad clone of the egg, it's going to have an egg cycle of 0, which you would think is good, it'll hatch immediately, but no. The egg hatches when the egg cycle reaches 0, not when it's at 0. So if you decrement the egg cycle when it's at 0, it then underflows to 255, and then it takes forever to hatch. But if you hatch a regular egg in front of that, the regular egg hatches and then it sees the bad clone at 0, and then that hatches as well. So the reason I want to hatch the bad clone is it'll gain different properties, like I said. And the most advantageous is it allows me to withdraw above 6 Pokemon into my party. And when I have more than 6 in my party, I'm accessing different parts of the memory that I'm not supposed to. And so data for, say, the 7th Pokemon actually overlaps with other data in the party. And so what I can do is by doing specific switches, overlap. Remember how I said the space value is 255 and the card key is 255, by doing specific switches, turn that space into card keys as held items onto the Pokemon. Why do I want card keys? Well, items in the key item pocket only take up 1 byte of data because you're never supposed to have multiples. The quantity is assumed to be 1, whereas everywhere else it's 2 bytes. So what that means is when you end up switching items that are the same inside the key item pocket, you get really odd behavior, and one of them is because card key is 99, which is supposed to be the max, it creates multiple stacks of items, and so it'll break up into black apricot, because that's the value for 99, and other things. And then when I get multiple black apricons, when I switch them, because they're below 100, it actually reduces the total quantity within my key item pocket without actually reducing the amount of items. So the idea is I'm going to create 4 card keys, but only have 3 items in there, and then I can do lots of things. So the 3 things that I'm trying to get are a bicycle, obviously to go fast, max repels, so that I don't get encounters. Those 2 are pretty obvious. And then I want TM47 in my key item pocket. That one's a bit more abstract. So TM47 is Steel Wing, that's irrelevant. What is relevant is if you use TMs outside of the TM pocket, they run to unintended parts of the ROM. And TM47 happens to run the overworld map scroll to the right and increases its value by 2. I think by 2. Well, what ends up happening is the map shifts all the way to the right by 2. Okay, save here. I hope this is the right step. If I've counted correctly, well, if I had miscounted, I'm screwed. So hopefully we're good. Now we're going to start the cloning. But yeah, it shifts the whole map by 2. That in itself is also useless, but if you combine it with different techniques, you can end up getting things that are useful. The main one is actually the Game Boy printer. If you go into the Game Boy printer, Where did my save file go? Well, that was Pokemon Gold, ladies and gentlemen. I have a backup card. So, I do not understand why that did not save, but it didn't. So we're going straight to the backup card. So, the backup card actually already has the bad clone. This is a problem because I was going to spend like 5 minutes doing that, and now I have no time to explain what's going to happen. Okay, so what's going to happen is I'm going to TM47 with the Game Boy printer. Yeah, it re-puts objects back in place. Okay, so I've now got the bad clone. World record pace, by the way. Okay, so look at that. So the bad clone is these ones without a name. So this egg is about to hatch. Then I'll take the bad clone and 1 more. So if I take 2 more steps, this egg is about to hatch. Oh, I counted correctly. How good's that? All right. So this egg hatches, and then I'm going to give it the same nickname, and then the bad clone hatches. So, like I said, this is now going to allow me to have more than 6 Pokemon into my party. And now I'm going to do a lot of switches really quickly, which is going to get the 3 things that I wanted, that I talked about before. So, okay, here we go. So, move. So these switches are to create a 4th Pokemon that can have a held item. Eggs can't have held items. And also so that the switches that I do work. Sorry, the feed just cut out for a second, so I was doing that off memory. In here. Okay. So now into the party. Now we're going to get the card keys. And you can visually see this is a bit wrong. Okay, here's a card key. Here's a card key. 6 to 1. Here's a card key. Okay. So now, into the card keys, and you're going to see them split up and create stacks. Switch these. 1 to 4, 2 to 1. Okay. So that's now made it so that I have 3, which has broken the Terminator, and because the ball pocket is after key items, I now have 255 with 5 items. I'm going to deposit 16 and withdraw 2 because I want 3 stacks of 99, 99, and 43 because 43 is max repels. Then I'm going to deposit. I now have 2 items, now 1, now 0, now 255. And now I'm going to swap these 2 so that I have 254. Now I have 7 items in my ball pocket. 7 equates to the bicycle. 1, 2, 3, 4. These ones, so that Pokeballs have an actual quantity. 16, so 239 is TM47. Okay, now I'm ready to go. Okay, so TM47 shifts the map to the right by 2 tiles. Then I'm going to access the Game Boy printer, which is going to keep me and this Sudowoodo in place. So you see that Sudowoodo there and the path below it. Here we go, Game Boy printer. You see that path below it, right? It's actually here. Here. And so we're going to do it again to get past this trainer. This one has a good visual. I'm going to enter a building and you're going to see it over to the left, but it's actually way closer than you think it is. It's here. So the aim here is to get into Goldenrod City because that's where the train is. So this route is a bit sketchy to get past because there are a few trainers. There's a spinner right here who can actually see me. If he sees me, it's game over. So I'm actually going to save so that he doesn't do that. Well, so that if he does, I can just try again and not go all the way back to where I was. So TM47. These ones have some nice visuals if you pay attention to the sprites as well. He didn't get me. Good. Okay, down here. Thanks. 1, 2 this time. Okay, and into Goldenrod. And so now off to the train station. And so you ordinarily can't get a pass until Kanto, but what they don't tell you about trains is very rarely do they actually check tickets. And so if you just hop the guardrail, get onto the train. Hey ho, I'm in Kanto. Alright, so in Kanto, my objective is to get to Viridian. Normally I would have to do a long side quest to wake up Snorlax because you can't go backwards through Mount Moon, so you have to go through Diglett's Cave. What they don't tell you is, although you can't go backwards through Mount Moon, you can go backwards over Mount Moon. So here we go. So you actually can't go out of bounds in this game. It'll crash, but this isn't out of bounds. They're all tiles that work. They just put a thin barrier so that you're never supposed to get here. But here I am. So the reason I want to get to Viridian is that's where the end of the game is, basically. I can take a gate to Indigo Plateau or Mount Silver, and that's where I want to be. So the end of the game is classified as beating Red. There are 2 problems with this. One, Red isn't at Mount Silver, because Red only gets to Mount Silver once you beat the Elite Four. I don't want to beat the Elite Four. The other problem is, how am I going to beat Red? My ragtag team of eggs and other egg products is probably not going to get it done. So what I'm going to do is when I get to the final usage at the gate here is, remember how I have more than 6 Pokemon in my party? Well, I can do some more fun with that. If I go into the... Oh. No, I was supposed to do that. Yeah. Whoa, what am I doing? Last one. Don't mess this up. Okay. Into Pokemon. Into Move. I can actually scroll ad nauseum throughout a bunch of extra data that I'm not supposed to be accessing here. So I have access to 8 bytes at a time here, 2 for each move. So I can't actually change that much. In a stroke of convenience though, the flag for red being at Mount Silver is really close to the current box that you're on. So because my current box is 1, I'm actually going to be switched the flag for red being at Mount Silver to be on. I learned the hard way that if you are on box 2, it just straight out doesn't work. Unconveniently, I have to scroll a long way to actually get there. I have to scroll 158 times, and then I can do that. And then I'm going to do one more switch with my party. And if you remember that I have 7 Pokemon in my party, you might be able to see exactly what I do. But the red's going to be the first one. So we're still a ways off. But you do get some nice movesets along the way. Okay, we're getting close. Almost there. This one, then back. Okay, red's at Mount Silver. And now, if you look for the 7 on the PP here, you see it? There, that switch. Whoa, what happened? Last max repel here. And I have to save and reset the game here. I hope this save file doesn't disappear. That would be quite bad. But so I have to save and reset there because that's going to make basically the visual reality. And so I'm just going to scooch past this guy and off to Mount Silver. So what I did was I made it so that I have 0 Pokemon in my party. And this game has quite a few extra things in place when that's the case. Okay, they're basically preventative measures in case you used a cheat device to walk through walls. And one of them is, if you enter a battle with 0 Pokemon in your party, you instantly win. Time. Wow, completely no cheating world record, ladies and gentlemen. Well done. So the thing is, from this point, I would actually stuck in Mount Silver because, like I said, there are a bunch of special flags if you have no Pokemon in your party. So if I enter a battle, it just ends instantly. So I can't catch anything. If I go to my PC, I can't withdraw anything. And if I try and use TM47 to escape, to change the map, it won't work because there's special flags for not using the PC or TMs or stuff. So I've completely soft-locked the game, basically. But I've won, so it's all good. But yeah, alright, that's all from me. Thanks for watching, guys. We're here all weekend. Stick around. I love you too.